Hey everybody, Uncle Snussy here. I wanted to talk about the feud that's coming up in a couple of days. Looks like 2 days on the button, according to this. If you haven't seen any of my feud videos before, I might not go into as much detail as I did in a previous video talking about general strategy, but just kind of a high level overview of strategy. So, what I've talked about in the past is a couple of different options you have in terms of trying to score as many points as you can as fast as you can in a feud. So trying to get the max score you possibly can in the shortest period of time with the least amount of pain. And then another strategy, which is sort of a health pack preservation strategy. And so the general idea of the strategy is that when you put people in your lineup to be your fighters in the feud, that you try to pick people that are as close to each other in strength as possible. You try to look at the list of potential spots to fill and anticipate with your opponents how many of those spots your opponents might be able to fill relatively easily. This particular feud does not have any specific wrestler requirements. So the likelihood that you're going to see a larger variety of opponents is a little bit higher. So there are some spots that are kind of tight, right? There's not that many legends powerhouses. There's not that many, what is that, modern? I can never remember, modern or attitude. I think that's modern. So modern acrobats, right? Legends, powerhouses. Any of these 4-star spots, you might see less of those. You'll definitely see less Hall of Fame, new gen, but limiting it to only technicians. That's going to limit how many of those you're going to get. There's a lot of people that have free NWO characters, and they'll have these characters here where there's no star requirements, right? So expect to see probably these spots at least get filled. So that's 4 spots. This one, this one, this one, this one. The rest of these, you might come across a variety of people, whether they have them or not. So if you wanted to build a strategy based on just spots where people are probably going to have wrestlers, count on a lot of opponents having 4 or 5 of these spots filled, and maybe a good chance that the bottom row gets filled for a lot of people. They might probably have a 4-star modern showboat. Excuse me. So the way the strategy works is that the people you're going to fight with, you want them as even in strength as possible, right? So whether they're all 3K in talent, 5K in talent, 7, 9, 12, right? Maxed out 4-star golds, doesn't matter. Just that they're all kind of close to each other in talent. If you can do a variety of classes, acrobat, powerhouse, striker, technician, if you can do a variety of those, that helps too, because then you can choose wrestlers specifically to face opponents where you have the gem damage, the 25% gem damage benefit, right? And so if you haven't noticed that before, acrobats get a 25% gem damage bonus against showboats. Showboats get that bonus against strikers. Strikers get it against tricksters. Tricksters get it against technicians. Technicians against powerhouses. And powerhouses against acrobats, right? So it comes full circle. So if you have a variety of different classes in there, then you can pick and choose kind of like who you're going to use in each fight based on that advantage, right? So if all of your people are 5K in strength and you're going up against somebody and you're picking your 5K person, you're going up against another 5K person, but you're picking the person that has the gem damage 25% bonus, you're probably going to kill them pretty quickly in that match. So, that's kind of a quick rundown of the general strategy. You want to not fill every spot with a powerful wrestler. So, you may, if you decide, okay, I want to take 3 fighters, and then what you'll do with that last spot is you'll take a scrub. So you'll take somebody that's weaker, and that's going to reduce your opponent's difficulty, right? So if you have 3 fighters and then a scrub, and then they brought 4 of their best fighters, the computer is going to try to match you up against somebody equal in strength, and so you're going to end up probably having a strength advantage because you brought a scrub and you sort of threw off the computer trying to pick your opponent, right? And the reason why you want to bring 3 or more fighters plus a couple of scrubs is there's the point advantage, right? Win with a superstar for the first time in a brawl, 12,000 points, right? So you can only get that bonus one time in each brawl with each wrestler that you brought, right? And so a brawl is, the 30-minute match. So you go into a fight with one of your teammates, you have an opponent in a lane opposite of you, you choose them, you fight them, that's the brawl, right? And then there's matches inside the brawl. So when you do that brawl, every time you get a win in that brawl, you use a different fighter, you get a 12,000 point bonus. And as you can see, that's the biggest point total you can get, right? So it's bigger than beating a 4-star gold opponent. If I beat a 4-star gold opponent with somebody that I've already used in that brawl, I'm getting a lower score than just beating a 1-star bronze opponent with a brand new wrestler, right? So that's a big bonus in this particular feud. So you want to get as many of those wins using a new wrestler. Now that doesn't mean that once your brawl is over, once the 30 minutes are over, or after you've eliminated all your opponents and you go back in for another brawl, that you have to choose different wrestlers. You can use those same wrestlers. That counter resets, but that counter only goes for that current brawl you're in. So once that brawl is over and you go into a new brawl with a new teammate or even the same teammate going again, then that resets and you can do the same thing. And I said I wasn't going to go into a lot of detail, but I already did. So anyway, like I said, there's probably 4 spots in here where there's a lot of potential people that are out there that are going to be in this feud that are going to be able to fill those spots. The rest of these spots are kind of give and take, right? You might have some people that are actually rolling with, 9 wrestlers, right? Filling every single spot. But more often than not, there's probably going to be people that are filling 4 or 5 of those spots. So when choosing your lineup, plan accordingly. Try to have at least 1 or 2 scrub wrestlers in there, right? The more scrubs you put in, the likelihood of getting easier opponents goes up, right? So if I bring in 3 fighters and 2 scrubs, that's going to probably get me easier opponents than if I bring 4 fighters and just 1 scrub, right? So keeping that ratio of scrubs to fighters. And the other thing that you would use scrubs for is to actually throw a match to break your lane, to allow your teammate to go into the lane you were in and face somebody in your group of wrestlers that's too strong for you, but maybe not too strong for them, so they can go in and knock out that person for you. And all you did was use one of your cheap wrestlers. Your cheap wrestler, you're going to be able to revive them for 2 health packs, right? And be ready to go again in the next match. So, again, and the other thing you want to do is, if you can fill a lane, go ahead and fill a lane, right? So you do want to, if you can get a lane fill bonus, by all means, make sure you get that lane fill bonus. The other thing to look at prior to a feud is to get perks, right? To go into your roster, click on the perks button, and go and add some perks. They're giving away a free step ladder, and you'll be able to, right before the feud, if you go into the perks and you use that step ladder, you should be able to get a feud score bonus for the team, for yourself, for the team. So make sure you do that. And then if you want to go in and actually boost up any of your wrestlers that you're going to use in this feud, go into your perks and make sure you do that before the feud. I always recommend get the perk that increases your move points, your starting move points. Get that one first. And the reason for that is making that the priority is that benefits every single wrestler that you put in the feud. If you go and you do row break gems, column break gems, blast gems, multiply gems, if you do any of the other more specialty ones, you're probably not benefiting every single wrestler you're putting in the feud, right? But if you do the move point one, every single wrestler that you're throwing in there is going to get a benefit from the move point. So for me, I always focus on maxing the move point perk first. And then if I want to throw some coin at some perks that are specific to particular wrestlers that I might throw out there, like maybe I'm using some multiply gem guys and I want to increase, like right there, multiply gem strength +2, right? So maybe I'm putting some multiply gem people down here at the bottom. And then I may also, and I'm getting that bonus, right? I'm getting that multiply gem strength bonus, but I may also want to go in and do a perk, right? And create extra multiply gems or boost the strength of the multiply gems. So now I'm boosting it even more, right? And up here, +2 to multiply gem generation, starting multiply gems +2, right? So there's an option up there also for multiply gem people. So that would be my recommendation. Focus on the one that gives you the starting move point bonus first. If you can, max that sucker out. And then from there, if you want to tack on, row breaks, column breaks, blast gems, silence gems, multiply gems, whatever happens to be in the store at the time, then I would say, it's up to you. Go for it. But I would start with those MP bonuses because they will help everybody you have in there, and anybody you switch out and replace with another wrestler during a feud, it's going to benefit them too, right? So I'll go ahead and just kind of do a example lineup just so you guys can see kind of visually what I'm talking about. All right, so here's kind of an example of what I mean, right? So basically what I've done is I'm bringing this person, my fighters are this person, this person, this person, this person. I filled the row, right, which is going to get me the row fill bonus. Not great, not great choices. None of these are multiplied gem. Well, I'm sorry, I apologize. Andrade's multiplied gems, right? But nobody down here is bleed damage, right? But I'm just kind of using this as an example. And I'm putting Mr. Perfect up here. And then these are kind of my throwaways. So this one doesn't fit perfectly. I'd prefer that they be below 1,000 in terms of talent for a throwaway wrestler. This one would probably have a little bit higher health pack cost to get back into the fight. But ultimately, most of the time, if I'm going to be throwing a fight to break a lane, I'm going to be using this one first, and I hopefully won't need to use that one. So that one's kind of an emergency fallback. And then I have a green, a red, a yellow, and a blue, right? So I have pretty decent coverage in terms of classes and being able to counter my opponent's classes, right? So red I can use against blue opponents, blue I can use against yellow opponents, yellow I can use against black opponents, which I don't have any right here, but that would be just examples of how that works. And then the green one I can use against the red, right? So I've got some pretty decent class coverage in there as well. So that's just an example, right? And the scoring I can do with this lineup right here, I probably can get a score as good or better than if I brought just a bunch of 4-star bronze people, right? Because again, the primary scoring method in this is going to be the 12,000 bonus points for each new fight. So yes, I will get some points for defeating a 3-star or a 2-star or 4-star bronze, right? I'll get some points here, but the difference isn't huge. So last feud, I recorded an example of me using this strategy with 5K people. It was a really good example. It covered a lot of what I was talking about all in the very first matchup, which was perfect. So I'm going to show that to you now so you can kind of see it in action. This was the feud where everything freaked out, and after the brawl was over, you just kept getting the brawl over screens and kept clicking OK, and eventually they canceled the feud. But it was the very first match I had, very first fight, and you can see from that what I'm talking about. So I'd like to show that to you now. All right, folks, so feud's beginning. Here's the team I'm rolling with. Bunch of 5K people. I'm going to try it first with just one scrub, and then I might take out another wrestler and just put in another scrub. With the exception of this boy right here, all of these people are just kind of okay. No more than maybe a tier 2 or tier 3. And I tried to do that on purpose, right? I tried to go with no one special. I really just picked this person in this case because I didn't have anybody else around 5K that would work. So that's what I'm going to be going with, and let's see how it goes. Now, this is probably not a great connection, right? Because this person is taking just one person at 8K while I'm taking 6 at 25. But and we're also at the very beginning of the feud with 20 hours left. So that can affect what kind of matchup you get, because you're kind of at the mercy of whatever the computer can find in terms of opponents, and there'll be more opponents available the longer the feud goes. So at the very beginning, choices can be a little limited. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people here that I should all be able to beat relatively easily, and then one that maybe I can leave for my partner to take care of, but I should be able to score pretty well in this. So here you can see I'm picking Aleister Black to face Daniel Bryan because I get the advantage, the gym damage advantage. Right, that's not always going to work out because I've only got 4 wrestlers. Well, I got 5 wrestlers that I'm using for Class Edge, but they're not always going to be ideal matchups. But as much as you possibly can, try to use a brand new wrestler that has a gym advantage over your opponent. Basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just finding, this one I have a gym advantage, but it's a weaker opponent. So do I necessarily need the gym advantage, or should I just go ahead and use this wrestler to face someone else in the group that I don't have another wrestler to get a gym advantage on? So I don't have an acrobat that I brought with me, so Braun Strowman is somebody that I don't have a gym advantage on with any of my other wrestlers, so I'm going to go ahead and pick them for the match. This is you don't have to put this much thought into it. Really what you need to focus on the most is just making sure you're using a different wrestler each time. If you lose track of who you've already used, just look for people that have some damage, right? And that's a pretty good indicator that you've already used them in a match. Alright, and this is going to be a perfect example, right? I brought the scrub. I've maxed out the amount of bonus points I could get. I could have used my Typhoon and gotten some extra bonus points. I opted against it due to the class disadvantage. But in this particular case, I'm actually going to use my scrub and just break my lane so that my teammate can clean up.